You're good.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this Zoom meeting to discuss and find out a little bit more about the Connection Pet Therapy Program. I'm super excited to be here to be able to share some information that hopefully you can share with your other community partners who may not be with us today. I'll introduce myself. My name is Christina Price, and I am the program coordinator and co-founder of the Connection. The Connection was actually founded in January of 2010. So we're coming up on our 11-year anniversary, which we're very proud of. And we work primarily, not solely, but primarily in Fairfield County. So this is a Fairfield County-based program. So basically, for just a little bit of background information, just so you can know a little bit about the Connection, in 2009, I got my yellow lab Jackson tested to become a therapy dog. Once we started our therapy dog journey, I very quickly found out that there were not many therapy dog opportunities in our county at all. Basically, one of the only things that I could do was to visit some nursing homes that were allowing dogs and FMC Hospital, which has their own separate therapy dog program. So I did join the FMC program just to have something to do so that I could take my therapy dog out and go out and help the community. Given that information, I had met someone who tested at the same time that I did, who later became my partner, Audra McMurray. We became good friends. And we then became partners and decided to kind of embark on a journey with the Connection to go out and see what we could do about creating opportunities that currently did not exist. Because if not, the scope of our volunteerism was going to be quite limited. And we knew going into this all of the benefits of animal-assisted therapies, and we wanted to be able to share that with the community, and we knew there was a great need for it in the community. It's just that the opportunities weren't there. Some of the things just to keep in the back of your mind, for those of you who don't know a lot about animal-assisted therapy, is just some of the things, and this all comes from like the Latham Foundation, who has decades of research and proof. There's things like offering unconditional love and support, increasing self-esteem, decreasing anxiety, promoting relaxation, brightening your mood, providing a healthy outlet for touch, which is very, very important. It lowers heart rate and blood pressure, and it even sends oxytocin into your brain. So while it sounds like, okay, we have a bunch of people taking a dog somewhere and people get to pet a dog, that's great. I just wanted to give you a little background about animal-assisted therapy and all of the wonderful things that it actually provides, that has case study after case study to back this information up. So basically, Audra and I worked diligently in the community. We went out and we had a lot of meetings to create those opportunities. And we knew that there was going to be endless benefits for people. And at the time, Audra and I did this all out of our own pockets. We just ran this whole organization, just the two of us, out of our own pockets. We did get a couple scholarships from Walmart because we provide backpacks and business cards and other things to our volunteers to be able to use when they go to a session. So we were just paying for all of this out of pocket. That's how passionate we were about trying to get these programs off the ground. So we worked for quite a long time, for over 3 years, and trying to get our feet and deepen the roots in the community. And in 2013, we were approached by the Harcum House to talk about, they had heard about us. They had heard about the steps and progress that we were making and that we were actually starting to be known in the community. So they sat us down and wanted to know, would we consider partnering with them? So in 2013, they adopted our existing literacy and humane education programs that complemented their mission to reduce child abuse by educating children. one of the reasons that education is so important is because if you go into abuse background information and facts, you will find out that higher literacy rates equal lower abuse rates. So that partnership was a win-win for Harcum House and for us, because we were all working towards a similar goal. So that was a great partnership, and that started back in 2013. So we have been a program of the Harcum House since 2013. Do any of you know, you can just shake your heads if your mics are off, do any of you know anything about the Harcum House or who they are? Just brief information, they used to be the Child Advocacy Center in Fairfield County. They adopted the name Harcum House out of the supporters, Dave and June Harcum. So that's where Harcum House came from. We have local professional partners, CPS, law enforcement, and other mandated reporters, highly trained staff, sex abuse nurse that's there for interviews. We have family support, victims advocate, full-time trauma-informed mental health professional who provides counseling. So I can't say enough about the great work of the Harcum House and how honored we are to be a part of their journey, because what they do is very, very important in our community. So we're very fortunate to be part of the Harcum House. All of these services are provided at no cost to the clients. We also just obtained a full-time service facility dog, a full service dog. So that dog will be on premises and will be able to assist in the investigation, the interviews, and be there for the child and the parent as well for support. So that's a really great thing. That dog was obtained through Canine Companions for Independence. So that is a really huge thing for Harcum House to obtain a service facility dog. So we're super thrilled about that and super thrilled to get her to work. This dog can also be a court dog to go and assist victims who have to testify. So there's a lot of longevity through this dog's life and how they're going to be able to support that organization and agency. The Connection currently has about 20 certified therapy dog teams. So we have about 20 teams. Throughout each month, we have regularly scheduled, Dog Tales is our signature program. And it is a literacy, humane education-based program for children to increase their literacy skills and to learn some humane education in the process. We have regularly scheduled each month at all of the Fairfield County District Library systems, where we go in. We have volunteers that go into the Lancaster City School District twice a month to go in to be able to provide services to students. And these students may be students who are at risk, who need literacy support, who are going through a personal or family trauma, but also times teachers will use the Connection and that time to encourage a student who may be doing really well as a reward. So each year I go in and I meet with the staff of the schools, the principal, the vice principal, the special education teachers especially, usually first, second, and third grade, the guidance counselor, and we kind of all create a plan about what's going to work best, scheduling, etc., so that we can really see the students who really need to be seen. And so that's been really great. We started the Dog Tales program at the Fairfield County District Main Library, and at that time, we were just trying to bring animal assisted therapy into the library. So at that time, we would have 6, 8, 10 dogs on a Saturday come in, and children would be able to read 3 to 5 minutes to a dog and then move over to the next dog. Well, once we began working with the schools and obtained more educational direction from the schools, we found out that 20 minutes is really a benchmark for a student who is learning something new, who was working on a skill, that's why teachers send them home and say, make sure they have at least 20 minutes of reading time. It was that benchmark and really working with the school system to try to help to educate us even more about how we could make our program more effective. So we went from those early years of lots of dogs, touchy-feely, everything's wonderful, hugs and kisses, super excited kids, to now what is scheduled 20-minute sessions with a child. So parents call and sign up. That child now has a 20-minute session that is theirs and theirs alone. They're not interrupted by any other students. They don't feel rushed. They can complete that book as well as however many other books they can get into that 20-minute session. And, now we know that we are actually realizing and helping these children much more from a literacy standpoint. Also, I think I know I have found out through these years that children create relationships with these teams. Not only the human member, but especially the canine member. And they get attached, and as they get attached, they get more relaxed. Reading becomes even better for them. We've seen students who refused to read out loud, who wanted to be with the dog but didn't really want to do the literacy component, move forward a couple of months of consistent being there consistently for their appointments, thank goodness for parents. And then you have a child that is super excited, that, is ready to read out loud, who can't wait to share the new things that they have learned. And we have testimonial after testimonial from parents, from the schools, from the libraries, of the differences that they have seen the program make in the lives of children, parents, teachers, just across the board. Because another thing we found out is that when we go into these situations and in these sessions, the dogs aren't just helping the student or the participant, but they're also helping the staff at that location. We arrive 10 minutes early, we leave 10 minutes late, just because the staff wants to visit. The staff wants to have that feeling, have that oxytocin, have all those great things happen to them as well. So we found that we were helping, the staff, the parent, the participant, just across the board. Dogs open doors that other people cannot. It's just that tactile, good, great, warm feeling that opens the door, and then we go in and do the work. So it has been really a wonderful and very fulfilling thing for me to see this go from where it was in its infancy back in 2010 to where we are now in 2020. It's just been a program that has grown and grown and grown. We have really amazing volunteers. We have to always remember they're doing this on their own time. There's no money, they're volunteering. It starts out that they just want to share this wonderful dog that they have. Everybody loves their dog. So they want to go out and share the dog. But they find out after they really start working the program, all of the benefits. They're another person who benefits from the therapy dog program. They, as a volunteer, also benefit. It is very rewarding. It's an extremely rewarding thing to do. And we have volunteers that are just, all the volunteers are happy. The only way we've ever lost a volunteer, I can say to date, is death or moving out of state. No one ever leaves because everyone loves it. All of our volunteers are vigorously vetted at the program. They're criminally background checked, fingerprinted. They must pass 3 one-hour tests with their dogs to even become certified. The dog is vetted as well with specific verified information from the vet, a wellness check, and rigorous testing from Alliance of Therapy Dogs. I'll explain that to you in a minute. And they're the only certifying agency that we accept volunteers from. There are 3 major organizations in the nation that test, certify, and insure therapy dog teams. And so Alliance of Therapy Dogs just happens to be the agency that we use. that way there's continuity, there's consistency. We started where we had, if you had a certified therapy dog, we didn't care which organization you were coming from. But then we found out there were some inconsistencies, and different agencies did things different ways. So we kind of streamlined it and made it so that everybody is under the same umbrella, under the same company. So that's what we're doing. So all of our dogs come through Alliance of Therapy Dogs. Teams are insured if there's any kind of problem, if there's any type of an incident or an injury, because they're certified and they've gone through all of this vetting. They do have insurance. It's an umbrella policy that covers them. So that's why it's such rigorous testing, and we go through so much, is because if a company is going to insure you, they want to make sure that you're a solid team going out into the community. Just to let you all know, we're always looking for volunteers. We always are interested in talking to people, you know, if they're interested in getting their dog certified and think that they might want to go out into the community and volunteer and share their dog with the community. So we're always looking for anybody who may be interested in that, and we'll have some contact information that I can provide after this if there's any questions or anything about how you can go about doing that. On top of our school and library work, which I've already talked to you about, we also have teams who visit nursing homes regularly and make a huge difference in the lives of residences. We attend many community events and programs, speaking engagements. We coordinate and handle Bark in the Park each year, which is part of the Downtown Lancaster Fall Festival. We attended the Trauma Symposium on Sex Trafficking last year in 2019, and just so much more. Our community outreach has gotten very broad. I'm just trying to kind of cherry pick a few things. In 2019, we had a local author who dedicated her book, Lucy the Barking Dog, to our program, and that author graciously provides a portion of her proceeds as a donation to the Connection, which is really wonderful. It's a great book. It's very kind of her to do that. And if anybody is interested in looking at that book as a way to donate, you can go to readforacause.org and you can find her books there. At the heart of the Connection, I would say, are relationships with the community leaders, Harcum House, parents, schools, libraries, and most importantly, the relationships that we have with the children. As I said, children become very attached to certain teams. Another thing to note is that even after you've passed your test with Alliance and you've gone through all of that rigorous work that you have to do to become a certified therapy team, if you decide to be a Connection volunteer, then there's a lot more hoops to jump through to become a volunteer for the Connection, because our standards, rules, and regulations even exceed what the governing agency is, which is Alliance of Therapy Dogs. We have even more on top of that. So, but all of our volunteers are mandated reporters. So if there's ever an issue, you know, a child decides to disclose something to them because they feel comfortable with them, they're relaxed with the dog. We have had that happen before. We are all mandated reporters on top of all of the other things that we do. Furry faces open doors in lots of ways that other things can't, and we just continue to go out into the community, continue to build relationships. The one thing I really didn't want to talk about, but I think we have to, is COVID. COVID has certainly changed the way that the Connection looks. For 3 or 4 months, everything was just completely stopped. Everything was closed, so there was nothing that we could do. So now with some new COVID guidelines and kind of loosening up on some restrictions and kind of finding out some new things that we do, I am in discussions with the libraries and the schools about, hey, even the schools have said, if students needed this program ever, they need it now. In 2020, this is the time when they really need it. So we are working with schools who are still tentative about what they're doing, libraries who are still on restricted hours, and trying to figure out, how can we make this work until we can all be back to where we were before? So we're considering doing something like this, a Zoom type series. Parents and child log on, volunteer with their dog who the child loves and wants to see. Child has the book at home, can read. We still have the human partner who can still help with, words or whatever they need to do. All of our volunteers are trained on how to help a child learn. We got all of this information from the Lancaster City, school board. So all of our volunteers are trained on how to help students if a student needs help. So COVID has kind of changed things for us. We're working on those changes until we can find ourselves in a position where we can go back to where we were with masks, with some social distancing, maybe some expanded hours with the libraries, things like that. Because a lot of our appointment times were in the evenings, and now libraries are closing earlier and we need parents to get home in time, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm happy. That's about it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have, and then you'll get my contact information if there's anything you think of later that you may want to discuss with me or contact me for, and I'd be happy to help you then.
Awesome. What a great program. I mean, it's just so cool to see all the different areas and different places where you've been able to kind of get this outreach into the community. It's really cool.
And I did forget to mention that in the last 3 years, we have serviced over 800 children per year. So that's a pretty broad reach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything is tracked per month. And so we know those tallies because we track all of this information.
We actually had Refer Cause on last week, which she mentioned you guys.
You had Jill Boone on?
Yeah, so it was kind of a cool thing. And then she even said last week, we're going to have Christina on next week with this program. So it was kind of a cool setup the way she scheduled these.
Yes, she is wonderful. And as I said, it was wonderful for her to write that book and, to give some of the proceeds to us. That was just, we are indebted, and really happy that she did that for us. That was a great surprise.
So I had a quick question, and I might have missed this, but when you were talking about the volunteers and you talked about the 20 therapy dog teams, are those the volunteers? Is that the type of work that volunteers do?
Yes, those are the teams. So I call them a team because obviously it's not just the dog, it's a team. They're tested as a team. It's the human behavior and how they handle the dog, address the dog, what they do with the dog, just as much as it is the dog's performance and behavior. So it's really a team test, and they are tested as a team. So when I refer to teams, that's what I mean.
Yeah, great. I was curious if you had other volunteer work available, or if that was primarily it.
Now, when we're super busy, we could have volunteers who do not have dogs and that we may be able to provide work for them to do. Most of our volunteers obviously have dogs and they go out and work as teams. But when we're really super busy, yes, we have had volunteers who have worked for us before to help us do a variety of different things, and they don't have dogs. They just feel passionate about the program and wanted to help.
Great. So I noticed there weren't any questions in the chat. I'm curious if that's because people just would like to talk rather than put it in the chat. So if you would, go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. And if not, it must just be because Christina knocked us out of the park.
Try to get a lot of information into a short period.
It was fantastic. You did wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and chat with us today. And
thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, so I will be putting this information, some of the things that you mentioned, I'll be putting on the YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
And so all that should be in there, your email address, website. If people, do you have an online presence if people want to kind of?
Facebook.
Okay.
You can get us through Facebook. If you just put in the Connection, you'll be able to find it.
Fantastic.
I probably have, do you need the actual whole address?
No, I'll link it in
No,
there.
okay.
I'll go looking for it. Yeah,
Okay.
that's great. I just wanted to make sure you
Okay.
had one. Fantastic.
Yes, we are on Facebook, and we do have some brief information on the Harkham House website as well. We're working to expand that information, but there is a little bit of information on the Harkham House.
Great. Sounds good. All right. Well, I think we're all through for today. I appreciate you coming down and saying everything that you did. I already said that, but we'll do it
Thank you
again.
so much. And for those of you who signed in, thank you for attending. I greatly appreciate it.